Okay, so before starting the video, if you happen to see this at some point, or hear dogs, or really any noise, it's really early in the morning, and this was basically the only quiet time that I had to film this, so, hi baby. So please bear with the distractions a little bit. Okay, putting aside all of the distractions, for today's video you are actually not going to see a short film entirely made by me. So this is actually a school project that I had for my sound editing class, well, my sound production class, that took place about 2 semesters ago, something like that. And this was actually like my final grade for the class. So you guys are going to see my project, but I'm also going to give you like a 411, a 101 course class into like Foley, which if you saw the title, like, you kind of know what I'm going to talk about, and if you don't know anything about film, well, get ready to learn something new. As we just said, we're going to be talking about folly. Now, I'm going to read a definition found in Google about what folly is, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about it. So when you research folly, it appears just like this. I don't know if you guys can like tell or not, but it says folly filmmaking, and it says foley is the reproduction of everyday sound effects that are added to film, video, and other media in post-production to enhance audio quality. These reproduced sounds can be anything from the swishing of clothing and footsteps to squeaky doors and breaking glass. So basically, foley is obviously the recreation of sounds that you want for them to be there, but they weren't necessarily recorded when you were filming. For example, there are sounds like footsteps that when you're filming, unless you have a mic like literally next to the foot, you're not going to be able to catch that sound. So when you go into post-production, hence the editing part of filmmaking, when you go to post-production, you basically grab that clip and you start tweaking it, obviously, and in between those tweaks comes the sound and the sound production and sound editing and sound mixing and all of that goes with the sound department. And foley is one of those things. So basically, you are going to recreate those sounds using everyday objects to make it think that when you were actually filming, that sound was already there. Sound complicated, huh? So the thing is that you are struggling. You are struggling all the time as a foley artist, because foley artists are the people who dedicate their lives to do this. And it's really easy, for example, when they say, oh, we need to recreate a door opening or closing. That's something that you can totally do because there are doors literally everywhere. But when they tell you, hey, you gotta recreate the sound of waves crashing on the ocean, and you're stuck at a studio, not doing much, because you can totally go out and record these sounds. They're not going to be necessarily the same as to how they appear on the video. Say, for example, that the wave, like, it sounds crashing here and then goes back, but in your video, instead of crashing forward, it goes back. So it doesn't make sense at all with like the synchronization between the video and the audio, so you have to recreate the sound using normal everyday objects. So now that you're keeping in mind how hard it is to be a foley artist and like deal with the sound department in film, I'm going to talk to you about my final project for my sound editing class. So we were all put into groups. Katiana and I were obviously together. Katiana is one of my best friends. We met in like 2nd year of college. We've been inseparable ever since, and we work amazing together. So we were taking the class together, and we obviously wanted to be in a group together because we know that we work well. Now, here was the assignment. Our professor said you need to grab any animated movie scene. Any, could be Disney, could be Universal, could be anything. You need to grab any animated film, like scene, sorry, and you need to strip it from its sound and music entirely, and you need to recreate all of the foley that's found in that scene. Or like if you want to add some sounds that were never there in the beginning, you can totally do so. And you need to replace the music entirely. Yep.
Over there, Tink. And it's Dan. Is it there? must be here somewhere. Tink! Shh! Stop playing and help me find my shadow. Shadow. Oh, shadow. Huh?
So going a little bit into the experience. So when we were all thinking about how we wanted to recreate the scene and what we wanted to add or take away or all that kind of stuff, we did know that we wanted to do two things. We wanted to add a lot more sounds that were actually found in the original film, and we also wanted to include Tinkerbell so much more. The scene is so much more than Peter Pan just searching his shadow. Like, Tink also plays a very important role in the Peter Pan movie throughout the entire course of it. So we wanted to give her more of a voice, if you could kind of say that. So as you saw in the original version, there are a lot of sounds that weren't there. Like, for example, stepping on the ground. When people step on the ground, like, you make a little bit of a noise. I'm sorry, I'm doing this, but I have like hair strands. Better? I think. So, when you step on the ground, you obviously create noise. So we wanted to add those kinds of sounds to Pan, and what we did was just put a chair on the studio. This was actually my job. I just stepped on top of the chair, and whenever it was time, I went down, created the noise, went back up, went back down, went back up, went back down. Literally throughout the entire scene. So that was an easy sound to make. Another sound that was really easy to make was, for example, the toy box found in the Darling Children's Room. So basically I just have like a little box, a music box, and it's filled with rings, so I just put my hand inside of it, and whenever Pan searched, I just searched with him, I guess. So those were really easy sounds, but Tinkerbell was so challenging throughout the beginning. Like, every waking moment of the filming process, Tinkerbell was probably the hardest. Hence, my little outfit inspiration right now. So, here's the dealio with the Tinker. So the thing is that, obviously, wings flutter. We wanted to make Tink's wings flutter. At first we didn't know how, and one of the boys, like, he just got bored during filming, and he started making a sound with his mouth. So we just looked at him and said, that's it. And he just said, it sounds like a fan. And we're like, yeah, but we can modulate it. Now, again, with the definitions and all that kind of stuff, modulating sound means that you are going to grab an existing sound and you are going to bend the waves in that frequency so that you can make it go higher in tone, like a higher pitch, a lower pitch, the duration it's gonna like change or shorten, and that's gonna create different sounds. So we just recorded him doing that, modulated the voice, wings flutter. Now, the bells were really easy to do. We just grabbed some bells, and obviously she moved, we moved the bells. I think that was the easiest part. Now, a funny story is that when we were thinking about Tink, we wanted her to have a little sound every time that she landed somewhere. We just said that when you walk, you obviously make noise because you step in places, and like your feet make noise because you're heavy and you like step on a place, and usually you make noise unless you're like in the movie A Quiet Place and you're running from predators. But the thing is that we wanted her to have sound. Now, fairies are like 5 to 6 inches tall. They're not heavy at all. So what kind of sound can we recreate so that it all makes sense. And again, we were in the studio, and the same guy that was playing with his voice earlier before, he started to play with another of his friends that wasn't even in the project. He just started to make sounds with his friend. And his friend literally just went to him and did like this thing where people do that and the little droplet sound comes off. And me and Tatiana just like looked at him and said, "Get into the studio right now." Because the thing is that fairies are so lightweight, and what is more lightweight than a drop of water? So, hence, Tink's Landing. So the worst part was the music. Surprising enough, like I said and like I mentioned, we had to strip the scene from all of its sound. That included music as well. And our professor said, you can't use music from that movie. So we had the struggle of looking for rough music, because it's like kind of a fight scene between Pan and his shadow, but also delicate music thanks to Tink and thanks to the magic and pixie dust that's around the entire scene. I looked at Tatiana and said, Tatiana, Peter Pan, like the Walt Disney version, is not the only Peter Pan movie out there. There's a Peter Pan movie with Jeremy Sumpter in it, and it's got an amazing soundtrack, and that's what we used. The professor said he didn't have any problem with it, and we were actually smart looking for a loophole to do this. So that is half of the music that's in the scene. Now, for the fight scene when Pan actually finds his shadow and they start chasing each other through the living room, I'm not going to kid you when I tell you that we spent like 3 hours searching for music, like just searching for it. Because again, we wanted something a little bit rough, but keeping the magic and a little bit of grace in it. So the ending of that scene is actually a combination of like 3 different soundtracks, all from Walt Disney. One of the songs is actually a song from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, where the evil queen is like looking into the mirror, conjuring up something. I honestly don't remember. And then the persecution scene is from the Cinderella soundtrack, when the clock strikes 12 and she starts to run back home. And I think that there's another one just piled up in there that I honestly don't remember, but God, that was such a struggle. So yeah, in the end, we actually fell in love with the scene that we did, and we actually learned so much. You can basically make anything possible, and that is the beauty of the world of film. We take normal things and we make art out of it, and that's why I really love my job. So right now I am going to show you finally the masterpiece that we created for our sound production class, entirely remade in terms of Foley, music, everything sound related.
Over there, Tink. And it's done. Must be here somewhere. Ah! Tink! Stop playing. Help me find my shadow. Shadow. Oh, shadow. Huh? Aha!
Are you proud? Are you proud? Because I know I'm really proud. But yeah, that is basically it. I am really loving my Tinkerbell inspired ensemble today, and I am kind of pre-getting ready, I'm sorry, because on Sunday, Pixie Dusted has an event, and we are going to be having Tink for the very first time in the company. And yeah, I'm gonna get a chance to be friends with her, so just getting a feel of, like, the high bun slash ponytail and, like, the green, because I'm not a fan of that green, but well. So yeah, stay tuned into next week's video because it will be a choreography as well, and the only way to stay tuned into everything that happens in this channel is to, of course, subscribe, so click that button down there. If you like this video and you want more film educating videos with examples, click the thumbs up to let me know. I am going to leave my social media down there, last week's video right over there. That is all for today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!